All right, welcome to our explainer on the Java string. If you're just getting started with programming, really getting a handle on strings is one of the biggest first steps you're going to take. So here's what we're going to tackle. We'll kick things off with what a string actually is, then jump into how to make them and compare them. After that, we'll check out some really handy methods before we land on the single most important thing you have to remember, immutability.
First up, let's get on the same page. What exactly is a string when we're talking about Java?
So at its simplest, a string like hello is, well, it's just a sequence of characters. But, and this is a big but, in Java, it's not just raw text. It's an object. Think of it like a smart container that holds your text, but also comes with a whole bunch of built-in tools or methods that we can use on it. Okay, so we know what a string is. Now let's get into how we actually create them. And, maybe even more important, how we can correctly check if two strings are identical. You basically got two main ways to make a string. The one you'll see all the time is called a string literal. That's just putting your text inside double quotes. Simple. The other way is a bit more explicit, where you use the new keyword to create a totally new string object.
Now this is where it gets pretty cool behind the scenes. When you use a string literal, Java's actually really smart. It has this special memory spot called the string constant pool. If it sees a string that already exists there, it just reuses it. But when you use new, you're telling Java, hey, I don't care what you have, make me a brand new one from scratch. That's why literals are usually way more efficient with memory.
Okay, listen up, because this one trips up everybody at first. Think of it this way. The equals equals operator checks if two things are at the exact same address in memory. The dot equals method, on the other hand, actually goes inside and checks if the content is the same. When you're dealing with strings, you almost always care about the content, so just burn this into your brain. Use dot equals. All right, so we've made our strings. Now let's figure out how to ask them some questions, like, hey, how long are you? The length method is your best friend for finding out how many characters are in a string. It's super straightforward. And as you can see with Hello World, just remember that everything counts. Letters, spaces, punctuation, all of it. What if you want to grab just one specific character? That's where .at comes in. And here is a golden rule you will see everywhere in programming. We start counting from 0. So the first character is at index 0. The second is at index 1, and so on. Get used to it now. Need a super quick way to see if a string has anything in it at all? The isEmpty method is perfect. It just gives you a simple true or false. It's the cleanest way to check if a string has 0 length.
Okay, so checking on strings is cool, but what about actually manipulating them? Let's look at a few ways we can combine strings or pull out little pieces of them.
If you want to join two strings, you can use the .concat method. It's pretty simple. It just takes the second string and tacks it onto the end of the first one, giving you a new, longer string. The substring method lets you slice out a piece of a string. Now, there's one key detail here you have to remember. When you give it a start and an end number, it includes the character at the start, but it stops right before the character at the end. So index 5 is not included in our example. The .split method is awesome. It's incredibly powerful. It takes a string and shatters it into a bunch of smaller strings, which we call an array, based on any separator you give it. Here, we're splitting it up everywhere we see a hyphen.
All right, deep breath. We're now at the most critical, most fundamental concept you have to understand about strings in Java. This is a big one, so pay close attention.
This right here is the golden rule. Immutable means unchangeable, set in stone. Once a string object has been created in memory, its value can never, ever be altered. But wait a second. You're probably thinking, if they can't be changed, then what on earth were we just doing with .concat? It sure looked like we were changing the string. And you're right, it does seem like a contradiction. Well, here's the magic trick. You're never actually changing the original string. When you call .concatenate, Java goes and builds a completely new string in a different spot in memory. The original hello is left behind totally untouched. All that happens is our variable, example, gets updated to point to this new creation.
So here's the bottom line, the thing you have to take away from this. String methods don't actually modify the string they're called on. They create and return a brand new one. If you want to use that new value, you absolutely have to assign the result to a variable.
Okay, to wrap this all up, here's a quick little challenge to see if it all clicked. Based on the methods we just looked at, how would you write a simple function to check if a string is empty? Go ahead and pause to think it through.
It's a great way to make sure these ideas really stick.